What's going on, my fellow Raiders, Doomers, Crusaders, and Scullies? So it's me, Russell, here with Rusty Bullwhips once again, and it's finally time to review my newest whip, my 8-foot Crease and Corral Last Crusade Bullwhip made by Dustin Damrel of creaseandcorral.com, which was repaired by Sword Guy Builds. For those of you that did not watch the unboxing video, I'll explain it again. So this whip started in an eBay auction earlier in this year, and I was going to bid on it. It was coming from a seller's collection, his father's collection, who had recently and sadly passed away. His father owned so many whips by a bunch of really good whip makers, and this was one of them. So the seller was just selling off his dad's old whip collection, and I was going to buy this Crease and Crusader. And then when I finally decided to my surprise, it had been sold already to somebody else. And later on, I found a video that Trent from Trent Ryan in the Colorado Jones cosplay group, he posted a video showing all of his new Indiana Jones whips, and this Crease and Crusader was one of them. So I was happy that he had it. Then, when I went to the first California Jones event in May, and I met Morgan Lauff, our fearless leader, he told me that Trent had sold him this very same whip. And then sometime later, in June after the 40th anniversary of Raiders, Morgan and Nathan Smith-Whitley traveled to the workshop of Torrance Fisher of Sword Guy Builds, and then he repaired the fall hitch as it had been damaged. And then Tori put it up on his site, and then I bought it for his Black Friday holiday winter sale. So that's basically how I got this whip. Anyways, let's take a closer look at it. Alrighty, we're doing this old school where I review this and I'm just holding the camera. So let's start with the wrist loop on this Crease and Corral whip. So the wrist loop is very nicely braided. It's a nice, I believe a 6-strand wrist loop, as the traditional Indiana Jones wrist loops are. Very nice patterns on here, very tight braids, nice detailing, some little diamonds. More of a decorative piece than anything, not really, you can use it with your wrist, but I feel it's much easier just to have a free hand and just grasp the heel knot. And speaking of the heel knot is very nice. It has this really lovely, nice dark patina to it. And it's the 5x4 Turk's head knot like the David Morgan style whips. And it's just so nicely braided. It's so similar to a kangaroo hide whip. I have no clue how Dustin Damrel actually did this. How we got those cowhide strands to just blend in so well with each other. It's so nice, and actually this is a very weighty heel. Like if I drop it, it has a very nice loud thump. So this is very handle heavy, and I think the steel cable in the core is also pretty heavy. So this is a fairly heavy whip, but it's nicely balanced. Going into the handle itself, we have the diamond braids, or the checkerboard design. We have about, I'm just going to say 13 diamond counts because this is a Last Crusade whip, and the Last Crusade whip is the 13 diamonds in the handle. And here is the transition knot. Now this is a really interesting thing that Dustin does. It has a little bit of a swell at this transition knot. It kind of swells out just a little bit, and it feels really nice. And once again, that cowhide is so nice when it's like so spliced in. It's real flush with the rest of the whip, and it transitions so well into the thong. Speaking of the thong, the transition is really thick. It's braided very nicely. It's very thick. It doesn't taper too quickly, but it tapers right about here, and we're just tapering down all the way. And it tapers so nicely too, so we have a very effective, efficient crack when we go for it. So it's just going down, 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 all the way from a 12 plat to about I believe an 8 plat probably, as we drop strands. And then we get to the fall hitch, which is a 4-point fall hitch. Or Actually, it might be a 5-point. And Torrance actually rehitched this, and he did a very good job. So good job, Tori, if you're watching. Torrance Fisher, Sword Guy built. I could hardly tell that this was actually damaged. And there's the white hide fall and the black nylon cracker. So appearance-wise, it's very screen accurate to a traditional Indiana Jones Bullwhip. It's very accurate to Last Crusade in that dark whiskey color, and I feel with use as it darkens, it will retain an Indy 5 appearance, which is something that I'm very excited to look for when I keep using this as it darkens. This whip is actually already 9 years old since it was made in 2012. So it's already getting this really nice dark lived-in look. As you can see at the strands, they're very dark and they're very blackened around the edges. That's just natural use and just how the leather is just soaking in all the conditioner that it's had before. So if my camera just clears up for 2 seconds, we can just really admire how wonderfully braided the whip is and how wonderfully constructed it is. For having a stainless steel cable core all throughout the body of the whip, it's very fluid and very flexible still. Dustin Damrel did an excellent job. I still wish he was making whips, but sadly he's not. And if you come across any Crease and Corral whips in your lifetime, do not hesitate to snag them. They are wonderful whips. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go outside and crack this whip. And I've also got footage of Trent Ryan and Morgan Lauff respectively cracking this very same whip. So I'll implement that footage in as well.